Happy Sunday. Hope everyone's enjoying their weekend. We're just going to go quickly through the Market Weekly that the crew at Traders Community put together. Thanks to everyone for doing that. We have the Nova Wave charts, as you're familiar with, and some wording from the Cautious Investor, amongst others. So we get lots of requests of what the heck does it all mean. And so let's go through the S&P. Remember, this is not financial advice. We're just sharing what we see as traders and the technical background that we go through each week. So was a very clockwork week this week, as those that follow us and listen in are familiar with. So starting off, let's go through this section is going to be just about the S&P. We're going to try to break them down pretty quickly while we have time here for the different segments. So on a weekly basis, we spoke about completing 3 waves. The question is, as you know, whether this is a 5 or a 3. So just keep it that simple. Machines, as you know, work on maths. They do not have human emotion. So that's what makes it work so well, combining that with the trading. So starting the week last week, we were aware of the big optionality expiring on Friday. Remember, that means puts and calls, and often people tend to forget that. We opened on Monday with massive fear. We had more coronavirus outbreaks over there in China. We had more negativity, just general morose around what's going on with the economy, interest rates, inflation, and of course, over in Russia, that war continues to up a notch with new civilian murders and all that sort of thing, or injuries and deaths and all that sort of thing. So generally, it was the peak, if you like, of for that wave, not for the whole move, because the reason we say that is we'd come into a high VIX, had been a high VIX for a long time. Remember, we used that. So we close out that on Friday. Then Saturday we had some variations of, for example, what happened in China. That was the other thing, is that all China stocks were being sold off because of the being delisted from the US, couple that with the coronavirus. From that point on, we just look at remember, we're just looking at things technically. That is our for this purpose with Nova Wave, but we look at the whole concept of what puts it all together. So order flow, and we've been cautioning for a while. That's why I've been taking profit on shorts, as have other good traders. So you're looking for the opportunity to buy. So we've been working this way back a month ago. We got a double bottom this week. So let's move on to the daily, and we can see what happens. So that's that big spike, if you remember, on the panic. And we have these multiple double bottom. Again, a double bottom here. And the significance of double bottom just means it gives you a level where to base it off. And you can see this double bottom is more than a double bottom. Take out this spit here, which traps people underneath. You have it right across here from May, June. And that's significant because that's what we broke up from. So we retested. So remember, this is either one of a 5 or a 5 or SOP 5. So we are correcting that. It's real simple stuff. You can see the 3 waves. So this is either the completed 4 to go all the way back up, which would make that a completed 2, actually. I beg your pardon. And so if this is a 5, this is our big move down, right? So this is either the 1 of the new white waves, so you look through the possibilities. So completing a 2, a corrective wave, this can either be the A or that can be the C. So just keep it simple. Okay, on the daily, and we got this really nicely because we worked it back, and we'll go through what we went through on the 240 on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you have this double test, then eventually we broke this downtrend line here, and you can see we broke the 10 the 50, and it all turned up. And you had catalysts this week, so you open-minded. You had, as I said during the week, you then had Powell or the FOMC on a Wednesday. They were your 2 big events. and, obviously central banks. It's interesting. You've got to watch how the herd reacts. Are they buying or are they selling? In simple terms, so what they took out of Powell was the bullish scenario. Or they made it their bullish scenario in saying it's going to be minimal rate rises, and the bond market took that. Minimal meaning 5 or 6 is still fairly minimal, right? If it's minimal, if it's a quarter at a time, right? So that was it. And also they're going to keep reassessing. The market took that as meaning they're just going to keep ready to print more money, basically. So remember, that eased off this week, the extras, but there is steady every month. So keep that simple. As far as optionality goes, with this panic, it meant the puts that were put on, and our record puts, that's not necessarily all speculation, a lot of it's hedging. Remember, we have massive amounts of length in this market, record amounts of length. So that needs to be hedged under different caveats, etc., for fund managers. So a lot of it is that. Some of it could be spreads. You don't know exactly, right? But a lot of it's just from responsible risk management and with what's going on in the world, etc., right? It's not just speculation. Who's to know? But what we do know is it's expensive. It's expensive, right? So they need to trade that, manage it, etc. On the top side, you have constant speculation. This is the dip, etc. All these people that made money only from seeing a long market. And plus, ourselves, as we spoke, we looked at the out of the money, the cheap gamma, right? Cheap OI. Just don't look at the... if you just look at the percentage-wise, it always looks really expensive. Look at the actual cost. So we were very fortunate to recognize that early and got upside calls in Apple in particularly and in the SPY. But also, remember we talk about the dribbler stocks and all that. So in particularly, what's noticeable about those is those are stocks that they keep going back to. Those that pronounce those. And so we saw, perhaps the best one was a stock called Affirm, where you, literally $20 runs and $10 runs, but they're worthless, the options. 1 to 2, where people are selling the gamma, just looking at the volatility aspect. And there was a few others like that. And you don't necessarily have to buy the options, because you can wait till Thursday or Friday. But once that happened on Wednesday, and it was a good bet, and I'm using that word, on Tuesday after we saw that to get cheap upside calls, which we did if those follow us on Apple and SPI and Y, right? And you still have your puts on. You've got to pay up for those for your length, but you do get them all out of the money. You try to minimize your capital. Anyway, so that explains all that scenario on the daily. So let's go to the 240 that we're talking about. And I might make it easier by going to the Spurs chart. Here it is. So if we look at, this is a 60, so I think 240, yeah. So what we did, if you recall, we counted out the possibilities. What we know is that this move, 1, 2, I'm keeping it real simple here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, was a perfect measured move in Murray and Nova, right? And we know we built that channel off it. And then we had the correction, shy 1, right? So, and we looked across here. This was your breakdown target. Remember, go back to your daily. And so we gave the potential up here. And this is why it worked out really nicely. It's 44.30 to 44.50. And that was all math-based, right? And so we're going slightly higher with the spit, which who's complaining, right? And then we did it all orderly with the Chico here. So where it really got fueled was the double bottom we talked about down here. And then it broke back above. See, what you're looking at is carry through, how much selling or buying is at these false breaks. Or real breaks, right? And so that fed this. You got these long bars on things like the Fed. And remember, that all got sold off and went through that right to the Tenkan. You got the kiss of life here. That was all with the change of power. And then in the next day, you have this continuation move. But it's all measured. So if you're talking about buying optionality, you assume you're going to lose. if from a risk management point of view. But look, that's why you get these tremendous results, way ahead of time, right? So you got, remember, gamma to the down, gamma to the up. And then you look at the IOs on different opportunities. You can see where it is. If it does get a feed on, we're just talking about the Spurs here, but you see where gamma chases gamma down here, up here, right? Because of caveats or whatever, as I said. And so that just traded very nicely. And look at these where you can take profit, you add. You don't just punt it all and then off the tank in here. And if you break it down further and further, we open it with the 60-minute there. You can see the same thing, right? Here's your double bottom, etc., etc. And now on an hourly, you're going to get more of this congestion wave. So it depends on your outlook. And don't forget down here, you can pay for your puts and calls with spreads and all that sort of thing. Just keep in mind, if you're doing spreads on really cheap optionality, you're not going to get the benefit of the bigger move, which is what you're looking for and that sort of thing. As far as the S&P futures go, you know very clearly where your support is. And as you saw, and you trade both sides, you know where your resistance is, depending how active and aggressive a trader are, if you have a book, etc. So you can see how the pro side is way ahead of it and they're just waiting for this to happen. So Friday comes along, you have some, if it's continue, when we go back to the daily and weekly, if that's actually the breakup. Remember, there's two scenarios. If it's just a bear market bounce, you obviously take a lot of your profit off or you cover it with a lower vol. So there we have it. That's let's just go back to it. That's our wrap of the Spurs, the S&P contract, Spider, and all that. Any questions? Just shoot them to us. If you like what we're doing, just like, subscribe to us, and we get these. I do these live, so if there's a few little, not the dulcet tones or the smoothness, that's it. So enjoy your Sunday. I hope everyone's had a great day. Look forward to a nice day to the week and tomorrow. And I will try to wrap up, go through the different markets and the overview. And it's all on the website there. Thanks a lot. Bye now.